For the cross is tapped home, and it's the skipper, George Johnson. It's absolutely wonderful from Scott Fraser. Lehmann scores in front of the Covenant. Takes a shot.
We are back after the international break, and the Addicts will certainly be looking to continue their fantastic form that we had over the previous 7 weeks or so. Unbeaten in 6 in the league, and Michael Appleton's side have been free scoring here at the Valley. 15 goals in the previous 5 matches. And today's visitors are Reading, a team that have gone through some tough times in recent years. And despite some big wins in the Cup, have lost 7 of their opening 11 league games. Ruben Sellis' side sit in the relegation zone and have been hit by a points deduction, but have some talented young players and bring a large following to the Valley today. With less than 45 minutes until kick-off, let's take a look at what we've got coming up. We'll hear from Michael Appleton, who spoke to Charlton TV ahead of today's game. Corey Anderson and Michael Hector are away on international duty with Jamaica this week, with Corey making his international debut. We'll find out how that went. And it is red, white and black day here at the Valley, so we'll be speaking to a man who has more letters after his name than Jason Morgan MBE and now sits on the Charlton board. It is Mr. Paul Elliott, CBE MBE. A very warm welcome to everybody around the world, and don't forget, if you haven't got your match streaming pass as yet, it's just £10 if you're living outside of the UK and Ireland. Please support us from afar if you can't get here at the Valley. Curbs and Brownie, the A-team, good to be back after the international break. Either of you two got letters after your name?
No.
Jason's the only MBE in my village. I don't know how he's got away with that, actually.
I don't know how that's possible, Curbs, to be honest with you. What about the international break? Did you get to enjoy that? I mean, you don't do internationals, Brownie,
No,
do you?
not really. No, I played golf. Broke 80, actually. Had a right good round. I don't even know the score. Oh, yeah, we won. We won.
must
We
have
beat
been on
Italy.
your
We
own.
beat Italy.
You must have been on your own doing it yourself.
I was with my son, and
He's never been the best at maths, has
No,
he?
he's better than me, and I beat him even on strokes. So it was a bad day for him, and then he started getting all aggressive about my handicap. So,
right.
yeah.
Curbs, I've asked about the international break and he's turned it to golf. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Did you watch the games, Australia or
Yeah,
Italy?
I watched all the rugby.
I'm talking about football still.
No,
The international break.
I didn't watch none of football. No, I did. I watched the Italy game. Harry Kane, different class. Bellingham. I like Bellingham. I remember he scored his first goal for Birmingham here, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I was here watching the game. Me and Benty was here, down Bent, and we got introduced on the pitch. And for some reason, I don't know why, we all got introduced on the pitch. And the Birmingham fans slaughtered Benty because he was a Villa boy.
Absolutely,
I think they forgot I played for Villa, so I was all right.
Well, you played for Birmingham as well, so I'm sure they remembered that one. And you won't have many regrets in your career at all, but I'm talking about the international break. You've talked about golf, you've talked about rugby, but what about England? You came close to being the England manager, didn't you, at one point?
Don't think particularly. I got interviewed.
Would you have loved to have done it?
It was a bit daunting, I must admit, and I went and saw Les Reed to take some advice, about it, because I was going on an interview, and Les just because he'd been at the FA, you've got to talk about this, you've got to talk about that. I had about 8 pages of foolscap about it, remember, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to deal with this.
Just a snippet of what it would have been like as England manager.
But to be fair, I got asked to do the Football League under 21s against Italy, I think it was, and that's where I saw Millsy.
Hey, he loves this story. Loves it. I had a room with him as well. It was hard work.
I saw Millsy in training. I thought, he ain't bad.
Yeah. Moving swiftly on then. Look, it's great to say we're back here at the Valley today as well, and to watch the Charlton side in really good form, Brownie.
Yeah, it's been a nice turnaround, hasn't it? Because that was a pretty poor start to the season. So we're in good fettle. We come up against a side that's struggling as well. So don't want to tempt fate, but even I'm going with the home win today. And you know how I see it.
These are the type of games, though, that we haven't won in recent times since we've been covering Charlton TV. The ones that you think we should be winning. Yeah,
I have to agree. We've struggled against the teams lower down in the league, but I mean their away form is something to behold. It's breaking records for all the wrong reason for them, but they are in a club in decline somewhat. They got their financial irregularities, as they say. They're not paying on time, so it's probably quite demoralising for them. But their away record is quite horrific.
Just looking at their support, I mean, it's phenomenal, really. I think they've sold out today, considering what is going on at that football club.
And just on the international break, as a manager, when you're in good form, do you just not want it to happen? Or Michael's had a lot of games since he's come in. Would he have treated that as actually this is time to
Yeah, I think he might have needed a break and just to reassess it. So I think I've heard some of the players saying that it's come at the wrong time because they're playing well and they want to keep the momentum going, which we've been talking about quite a bit. And just noticing the fixtures this month, because of the international breaks and that, the more home games. So this is the time now for us to build some momentum and get ourselves up near that top 6.
How did you view it as a player, the international break?
Well, I was never away on international duty, so to be fair, Curbs, it depends.
Time's off.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Scott, it was a time. I remember you used to say, right, double-edged sword. You used to run us into the ground to get our 2 days off or whatever, didn't you?
Long weekend.
Yeah, long weekend. And we actually, all the players, I remember one year we all went to Centre Parks as a group, about 6 of us with all our kids. It was chaos, but it was great fun,
So we used to say
did you go back with the same kids or? Wrong ones.
It's hard work just looking after my own, to be honest.
We used to say to them, behave yourself because the other boys who are on international are playing, but give your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off to enjoy yourself. Go away for a couple of days if you could. As long as you didn't end up in Spain in Sinatra's bar or 1 or 2 places like that.
Because that's where you were.
No, don't go anywhere near me. No, but to be fair,
don't be on the back pages. That's what you're saying.
No, we used to organise it.
Or front pages.
Me, Merv, and Snods would end up one of us would take that break, just go for 4 or 5 days. You know, so it worked out well, the international breaks for the coaching staff. Anyway.
Did you not pull rank and say I'm doing it all the time, and then you two
No,
can switch?
no, that's fair. That's fair.
Fair enough. Okay, let's hope for an entertaining game today and we can continue the form that we had before the international break. Let's hear from Michael Appleton, who I spoke to a little earlier. Michael, good to see you. First of all, the international break. A nice break for some. Was it for you? Did you go anywhere? What did you do?
No, not really. Had a couple of days, obviously, with the family, which is obviously nice. But, yeah, pretty much our focus was today's game, if I'm being honest. You know, we had a little bit of a feel-good factor at the end of the Blackpool game, albeit a point, but we certainly felt that we did enough to win the game, even going behind as we did. So, no, we've had a good couple of weeks. The lads who've come back from international duty seem to have come back with a clean bill of health, which is always a nice thing as well.
Did you want the break? You know, in some ways we were in great form, but in other ways you actually haven't had that much time on the training pitch, have you? So how does that balance out?
Yeah, I've got to say, you know, it was good to sort of come away on that day feeling good to get that point, but I have enjoyed a little bit of an extended time on the grass, work on one or two things that I think we could be better at and need to be better at, and maybe has been glossed over a little bit because of the positive results, and we have had good performances, but there's always things you can work on, and we've tried to do that in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things we've noticed as well, we picked up more points from losing positions already than the club has done in each of the last 2 seasons. What does that say about the toughness of the group? Something that since you've come in, clearly you've worked on and installed.
Yeah, I think I said to you pretty early doors, one of the sort of main focuses was the mentality, you know, trying to instill a mentality that the game's never done, and also but trying to instill a mentality that, you know, you play every second, every minute of the game. You don't switch off. When the ball goes dead, we come alive. Little phrases like that are little messages and easy to understand. So really pleased that we responded in the way we have. I would prefer us to score the first goal, and we don't have to do that. But at least we know, and now more importantly, that they know they've got it in the locker if it ever happens again.
So you talk about the lads have come back looking in good shape as well. What are we thinking in terms of the team then?
So the team, there's only one change from the previous league game against Blackpool. Chucks will come in as that central striker for Miles. Like I say, there wasn't a lot I was too displeased with in the performance. You know, 1 or 2 individual errors, but overall the performance was good. All I would say is that, you know, so far in the 6 games that I've had, certainly at least 5 of them, when I've brought substitutes on the pitch, they've done their job and they've made an impact. And if we need to do that today, we've certainly got enough quality on the bench to be able to do that.
Yeah, I noticed that Pan Camera is on the bench as well, and so that's really good news. Is it becoming very difficult? They always say it's a manager's positive problem to pick a first 11, but it's really important now, more than ever, have strength in depth and the players that can come on and change the game late on.
Yeah, I think. Well, this is just my personal experience. I think the younger you are into management, and you know, probably haven't got that experience of sort of dealing with players on a day-to-day basis and having to give them disappointment. I think the younger you are, when you've got a group of players that are all looking to play, all expecting to play, I think it's more difficult. But now with slightly more experience, I want that every week. I want to make sure I've got no injuries. I want my strongest squad to pick from. And if players get disappointed because they're not in the team, obviously I'll manage that as best I possibly can. But yeah, I thrive on that. You know, long may it continue. I want to make sure I've got 22, 23 players available for selection, and then ultimately I've got to try and pick the right team.
So what about Reading then? What kind of threat do they pose? We know they've gone through a lot of problems, both on and off the pitch. They haven't started well in the league, but these are the type of games that we haven't got 3 points in recent years.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, you've almost done my team talk for me there, Scott, to be fair, because it's the fact, you know, these type of games are the ones that if you've got anything about you as a group, anything that you have to win and take points from, and especially at home. So it makes it more dangerous. It makes it almost like a cup tie in a sense, because you touched on they have a lot of issues off the pitch. They're a good young group. I've watched them 2 or 3 times now. They do pass the ball well. They've got a little bit of experience in there, a lot of quality in the middle of the park with Wing and Savage. the Achilles on the right-hand side, left-footed, but likes to shoot from anywhere, scores goals from anywhere. So there is quality in there, and they're capable of winning probably 4 or 5 games on the bounce. We just have to make sure they don't do that today.
Final one then. The run at the Valley has been very good. The fans have been superb. They've seen goals scored as well. How important is it that that continues and you continue to get the support from the fans?
Yeah, 100%. I think the group that we've got sort of leans towards us, attacking and scoring goals anyway. Have we got a group that's going to consistently keep clean sheets? Probably not, and that's not being disrespectful to the players at all. We're not quite there yet. We just have to make sure we score more than the opposition, and that's our sort of mantra at the minute. Be better and try and look to tighten up in certain areas, but ultimately we want to score goals. I want to create chances, and I think we've certainly done that so far.
Exciting times for the fans at the moment. Michael, good luck.
Continue the good form that we had before then. One change then from that Blackpool game where we just refused to lose to grab a point. Chucks comes in for Miles, who drops to the bench. Great to see Pan Camara fit again as well. He's also on the bench. And Curbs, you've talked a lot about the consistency. We're starting to see that now, aren't we, with consistent results?
Yeah. And looking at the team, I'm just looking at the bench because that's a strong bench, and players that you can rely on, and also players that you'd like to think are pushing that 11, that starting 11, or vice versa. That starting 11 wants to keep them away from them. So the competition's there. So yeah, at the moment, I think Michael will be quite pleased with what's going on.
Brownie, how do you see it?
I just think it's good that we're seeing Camara. Yeah, Camara. Accent over the A.
The accent over the A.
Camara's back, which is great. I think that the more people get, and obviously we've moved quickly to bring Sam in, as cover with the injury to Isted, and it's all looking a bit more positive, isn't it? And it goes in line with the results. But yeah, there's we've said this before. Suddenly there's many options. You can change formation, you can do straight swaps. We've got strength in depth, so yeah, it's looking better and better every week actually.
Yeah, the one thing I'm looking at is Alfie May, because that's got to work for me, because I think Alfie will end up getting a little bit frustrated with it. But when you've got Miles and Chucks both available, that's a forward line that should cause problems.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tedic is still playing out wide. Yeah. So he could play Alfie out wide, but he wants Alfie down the middle, albeit as a number 10.
Yeah, I just don't want... He's so honest, Alfie. I just don't want him to do too much. He tackles back, he chases. I think he was in his defending third last game we saw. But then he did get his goal. He got on the end of something, and that's what you want, because I think if that ball goes anywhere near the final third, he's going to be in there.
I think Michael's been brilliant. I mean, if I'm really nitpicking, I'd like to see TC on the right instead of Tedic. But it was really interesting what he said about actually as a young manager, perhaps you would struggle to tell people that they're not going to be playing. Is it a positive problem? But as a more experienced manager, he wants everybody fit. He's quite happy to tell them you're not playing at the moment. How did you find it?
Well, it all depends how you want to do it. I mean, listen, the big managers like Ferguson and Wenger and that probably announce their team 2 hours before kick-off. And the group have to accept it. Whereas as you come lower down, people need an explanation why they're not playing, and some of them might want it as you announce the team. So you don't want to have a row or a conversation before the game. So I tried to do it on a Thursday as much as I could, get it over and done with Thursday afternoon. Mervyn will go around and just go like that to 1 or 2 people.
The curly finger.
And then they know that, oh, I'm in a little bit of trouble here, and the job was done before they come in. Yeah. So they got their questions right, whatever. But I always like to do it Thursday because I wanted everyone knowing what was going on. I want everyone to know what's going on Friday, and and if they're not over it, if they've been dropped and they're not over it by Friday, then they're not involved at all.
I won't mention the player, but I remember when I was at West Ham, Harry told him he wasn't playing, he'd be on the bench, and he literally said, "I'm not going on the bench, I'm going home." And we were almost having to try and stop him from going home
before a game. But I think the players appreciate a reason why they're not playing, and it may take 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, sometimes half hour.
I never actually went in the end. I think you had such a good, honest squad that by by the end of my time at Charlton, you didn't need the explanation anymore, because we kind of got ourselves as a group into the position where that's the team that you thought was best going to get you the result, and we all accepted that.
The curly finger was enough. OK, now today is the club's annual Red, White and Black Day, which is an initiative that's been running at Charlton for more than 30 years, and it sees the club celebrate diversity and inclusion. And I spoke to board member and former player Paul Elliott a little bit earlier today.
Paul, great to see you as always. Congratulations on, of course, being appointed to the board. How are you enjoying things at the moment?
It's fun, it's engaging, it's delicious, and I'm honoured. This is my club. This has been the very vanguard of my soul and DNA for best part of 40 years. So I'm honoured to be involved and really support the club in every which way, how they see fit to drive the agenda forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what attracted you back to the club, but I think you've just answered it there. And you go back a long way, don't you?
Scott,
Not too long, Paul, of course. You're looking young still.
Flattery gets you everywhere. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, I lived, you know, you got the council block here to the right. Morris Walker Estate is at the back of the East Stand. I went to school locally at Woodhill Primary School. My in-laws live literally 4 minutes away. Marion Park holds a great sentiment in my life. And, you know, I've got family that live in Thamesmead, Plumstead, Abbey Wood, Charlton, Lewisham. So the point I'm getting to is this club and its DNA has been embedded in the soul of my life.
Yeah, no real connections then, Paul. No, on a serious note, though, I mean, what does your role entail on the board, and what about the job ahead? How big is it?
First and foremost, I was delighted and honoured to be extended the invitation. I'm an independent non-executive director. Equality, diversity and inclusion, I think, is a key facet that's embedded in the club's DNA. So I drive that agenda. I'm the club lead on that as well. But also, I'm a football man. I love football. I love the game of football, tactically, technically, psychologically and physically. I understand the modern day game, and also I understand the business of football as well. So I like to feel that the kind of those composite characteristics and they're the things that hopefully I can add value to the football club and support Charlie, to support Jim, to support the investors from GFP, you know, in their strategic direction to evolve and enable the club to progress and grow.
Yeah, I have to say, Paul, you are probably one of the most well-rounded people in football. I have to say, cover a lot of bases. And today, of course, is the Red, White and Black Day here at the Valley. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Scott, the Red, White and Black Day was kind of an historical day that's really has been embedded in the DNA and Charlton Athletic Football Club post Stephen Lawrence passing. Since 1993, we've got the Care Partnership and all our strategic partners, and obviously he sadly passed away. But it was kind of used as a I suppose as a methodology to celebrate diversity, to celebrate inclusion, to celebrate equality. Because at that juncture, it was really stressful. I remember at the time on the communities and the kind of fractures, and it's using that power of football to engage, to unite, to break down barriers and bring people of that journey. So I think it's celebrating equality, it's celebrating diversity, it's celebrating inclusion using the power of football.
Brilliant, Paul. Enjoy today. Good to see you as always.
Yeah, great to hear from Paul there. And if you want to hear more from him, the Charlton TV archives include a really interesting conversation I had with him back in 2021 about what has been an incredible career, and it continues to be so as well. And Curbs, a really good appointment at the club's board, and someone who clearly knows the club very well and what it all means to people.
Not only the diversity side, but he understands everything connected with the club, where the club's come from, and how it got here. I remember him as a young player, and I think he went to Luton. And then I think we saw him. He went to Pisa as well.
He did.
Yeah, and we had a pre-season tour to Pisa.
Eddie,
Then,
you've dug that out, haven't you?
Yeah. I remember that Lenny went, "Oh, hello, cock," to Paul Elliott, and I just remember that, and he was at Villa. Obviously, I remember him at Villa. But no, so I think we can safely say he's been about.
Yeah.
And he's seen and done most things.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brownie, the Red, Whites and Black Day is something that we've been doing for 30 years now, so it's embedded in the club's history. And, we lead the way in many things, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, I was at the CACT Awards the other week, and again, that was humbling, actually. So we can talk about how good we are as a club, but then you go to something and you see the volunteers, you see the actual people that work for us doing their thing in the community, doing the red, white and black day, and the positivity surrounding it, and actually the happiness it brings to people. It suddenly hits home how much hard work, how much dedication. And it was quite humbling for me to see on the night, if I'm honest with you, because we just tend to talk about it here in the studio, but then when you see it firsthand, you think, yeah, no, there's some serious amounts of work and organisation goes into it, and yeah, I'm glad we lead the way. We're very good at it.
I remember when I was part of the EFL judging panel of a Player of the Year and the different divisions, but also the community club as well, and they were at pains to stretch to say, we're not saying don't vote for Charlton, but we're just saying that they're like the beacon. We want others to sort of win awards as well. So again, Jason Morgan, MBE, we have to give him a lot of credit to, but everybody else connected with the club. Let's have a look at pictures of Red, White and Black Day Parade. Around 300 local children took part and are taking part in the celebrations, which is just great to see, despite the weather, Curbs.
Yeah, it is. Disappointing, obviously, the weather, but I'm sure they're all going to enjoy themselves. They're all dressed up there, look, in their Charlton stuff. I wonder if they're going to go around the pitch, is that what they're going around the pitch?
I think
that is the aim.
Yeah, that is the aim. But I mean, hopefully a few Charlton fans will be there, and maybe even some Charlton players, Brownie. They can get the bug.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that everybody, from top to bottom at the football club engages in it. And I think what Paul Elliott said about, using the football club as a hub, because football can play a massive part of the community and of society, and it'd be criminal not to use something like Charlton, where it's sat in the middle of South London, to engage with everybody that's associated in the surrounding areas. I didn't realise how close he lived and all his family lived, I've got to be honest, so that was fascinating to hear.
Yeah. Other activity this week included a Show the Racism red card with children from Homo School, online webinar with first team players Michael Hector, Terrell Thomas and Karen Muya, and a Q&A for coaches with the one and only Paul Mortimer and also the women's general manager Louise McGinn. Celebrations continue tomorrow back here at the Valley as Charlton women take on Crystal Palace, and it is tomorrow's game that we focus on next. With a record crowd set to be here at the Valley, Freya Godfrey spoke to Charlton TV about the game earlier this week.
At the club so far. All the girls are lovely and the coaching staff and everyone involved, just around the training ground, all the staff around, just really nice, really welcoming, and obviously we're doing well so far, so we want to keep kicking on. I think my standout moment so far has probably been my assist against West Ham. Obviously it was my first start for the club, which was a very big moment for me, and obviously against the WSL club it was a big occasion, and I think we did battle really well. We were unfortunate not to get the win, but yeah, that was a really good moment. It's always an honour to represent your country, and scoring is just so much better. And I've grown up with them girls in and around the England age group, so it's nice to be playing with your mates and scoring for your country is just a really good feeling. Palace have been really strong this season. I think you can see that from their results. They're a clinical side, but it's a derby. Everyone shows up on derby day. It's at the Valley, it's our house. So we're going to bring everything we can. It's always special at the Valley, even though the couple of times I've been there, even watching the men's games, you can see there's a really good feel around the place. And just playing on the pitch is unreal, it's like a carpet, you know what I mean? So it's just, it's a good feeling. And hopefully, big occasion, we'll get the win.
Great to hear from Freya there, who speaks very well, I have to say, especially for an 18-year-old. Derby day tomorrow then, Palace at the Valley, kick-off 2 p.m. Those who haven't got a ticket yet, visit booking.cafc.co.uk to be a part of history. And Curbs, at any level, any game, Charlton versus Palace is a big one, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that John Fortune, if he ever walked into a Charlton pub, will get a pint off of everybody because of a certain header. Listen, I was a part of the side that went to Selhurst Park, and at the time, I mean, it was crazy, really. Leaving the Valley and going to Selhurst Park. I think the owners at the time just wanted to force the issue with the people that own the Valley, and it backfired. And fortunately for Lenny and the team at the time, he signed about 6 or 7 players, and not a lot of players have played here, so it wasn't that big a rift to go and play at Selhurst Park. But obviously for the fans and everything else, it was a bit of you know, I was going to say something there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But I came through the ranks and made my professional debut at Sellers Park, with that being the home ground. So I was in that as well. But being part of Back to the Valley was absolutely special. So clearly there's that rivalry kind of since then. And look, we're expecting the highest attendance for Charlton women's game for more than 15 years, Brownie. And it's a record since the team turned professional, which is just fantastic to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we all know that the game's growing very, very quickly, you know, on and off the pitch, and it's a local derby, so you're going to get some away fans come across. But I mean, they're a decent side, Palace. You know, they're probably one of the stronger sides, one of the favourites. So it's a very, very competitive game, very good game. You know, and I guess in, I don't know, five years, I think you're going to see regular big crowds. We're not far off sort of transfer fees, and quite big transfer fees, I think, at the top end of the women's game.
I think what you find as well, lots of clubs are trying to encourage, lots of clubs are allowing the women's teams to play on the pitch, and you know, that's a big step forward. You know, I think the under-21s or the under-23s or whatever, they should be playing on there as well. I think the pitches now can handle it. I don't think there's a problem with that. Maybe a cost thing, open up the stadium for not a big crowd, but you know, the more they can play on the pitch. I mean, I remember when I was here and was playing reserve games at Welling. Some people when they made their debut here, it was the first time they played at the Valley. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Because we was playing the reserve games at Welling. Yeah, so yeah, the more times they can play on this pitch, the better.
Yeah, Freya's on loan from Arsenal. She has represented England youth, but her and the whole women's side, well, it is a big one, I have to say. 3 points off top spot. We are fourth at the moment, 1 place behind Palace, so it makes it even more exciting the way the season has started. We, of course, wish everybody all the best, and if you can get down to the Valley here tomorrow, kick-off, remember, 2 o'clock. Supporters who have a season tickets for the men's first team can come tomorrow again for free, but try and get down even if you can't. OK, on to today's fixtures in Sky Bet League One then. There are some interesting ones around the league, more managerial casualties as Mark Kennedy left Lincoln. They sit 16th and travel to Fleetwood today. Leyton Orient continued their fine form last weekend and take on third place Barnsley today in what would be an interesting game for them to gauge their progression. Blackpool, who we drew with last time out at the Valley, beat Stevenage last weekend and face a very tough trip to Oxford, while Steve Evans' team host Port Vale. And I have to say, John Mousinho picked up the League One Manager of the Month for October, and his team hosts struggling Carlisle today. And Kurds, has been a great start to the season for Pompey, who sit top of the table. If you can get that good start, it makes such a difference, doesn't it?
And I think their fan base as well, you know, gives them a big lift. You know, they do get behind them home and away. Yeah, there's some interesting games there. You know, looking at Orient, when we saw them first game of the season here, and you know, they brought a real good contingent of fans, and they've picked up since their start, so that's good.
They certainly have. Brownie, another week, another manager gone. This time, Mark Kennedy at Lincoln. We're coming into sacking season now.
We
aren't
are,
we?
but I think there's a bit more. I think there's a bit more to that one. I think there might be. I think he might be sliding himself into another job. The international job, I think, he's being touted for, maybe. So
what, the Republic of Ireland?
I think so. That's what I read in the week. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's not a disastrous run they've been on. They have lost form a little bit, Lincoln, but not disastrous enough to sack. And they're on a budget. You know, I don't know what their expectations are, but I didn't see that one coming. I've got to be honest.
Another one gone this week, not in this division, but was Gary Rowett at Millwall. Yeah. You obviously had Gary as a player. I know him pretty well as well. I've worked with him a lot, and I texted him afterwards. What did you make of that?
Well, I think last season, I mean, it was a massive disappointment for Millwall. They never got in the playoffs, and they lost it themselves, didn't they? Yeah. In the last couple of games. But
last 45 minutes of the last game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they was cemented in the top six right till the last couple of games. But I just think, look, reading between the lines, his family was living back up north. He was here travelling, and I think that perhaps I keep seeing this mutual arrangement, which I don't know about that. But if it comes out okay, I think he deserves that. I think he's done a good job at Millwall.
Yeah.
And as I say, last year was a massive disappointment.
OK, back to Charlton then, and it was a proud moment for Corey Anderson's family and the club's academy as well when the 19-year-old made his international debut for Jamaica against Grenada last weekend. Jamaica, by the way, won 4-1. He and international teammate Michael Hector, who's become the interviewer, spoke about their experience this week. Let's take a look.
Alright, mate, so how was it first, and where was you when you found out about being put in the squad for the first time?
I got the news when I was at home in my bedroom. There was no one at home, so it was just me. Yeah, I was just looking at it for a while, trying to piece together if it was real or not. Then I messaged you to confirm. Then yeah, I found out that was true, and I was ecstatic. But yeah, my mum was born in Jamaica. And then my grandmother on my dad's side was also born in Jamaica, so got a link there, which I'm grateful for, because the experience was really good.
Just confirming the number, because obviously you get a message by the staff in Jamaica, so he was just making sure that it wasn't a joke.
So I told my mum after I confirmed with Heck, and yeah, she couldn't really believe it. She started screaming down the phone and crying and stuff, so yeah, it's them moments that you enjoy the most.
How did you find like the training and that, the obviously conditions? I know you like hot weather, so how did you find that?
Playing in the hot weather was a shock, obviously. When we went to Marbella for pre-season, that was really intense. But this type of heat, I was sweating before I even got on the pitch, so yeah, that was tough. But settling in, that was quite easy, because everyone's really good, as you probably know. So yeah, it wasn't too tough.
When the manager obviously told you that you was coming on, obviously he was a sub at half-time, so did you find out obviously before half-time, or was it at half-time that you got told, and how did you feel?
Yeah, just before the half ended, he came and told me and a few other players that were coming on at half-time, and I was a bit shocked because no one really makes subs at half-time, but I didn't really care, like, I was coming on, so yeah, to be fair, like, when he told me, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. How it's my debut or anything. I just wanted to come on and impact the game and help the team. Really just look at it as football, otherwise you might just get a bit too nervous or not be yourself. So yeah, that's how I found it when he told me, but deep down I was proper excited.
To be fair, he's very, very humble. He played really well. Like, at the start, they were pressing us quite hard at the second half, because obviously it was still close, it was still 2-1, and he dealt with that really well. And then obviously the respect they showed to sit off him after, which showed how well he started the half, and yeah, continues to play well throughout the game. So I think you made sure they went back a bit to show a bit of respect for you on the ball. So that was big to gain that respect from the other team as well.
It's always good to have you there. It's a calling point if I need some help, you know. If I don't know what time dinner was, you know. Now, like, yeah, on the pitch, it's just like I'm comfortable because I know that you're behind me, giving me information. Even my first pass I received was probably from you, so it was helpful to have you there just to get me into the game and get me comfortable.
Yeah, no, I thought you obviously in the game you grew into it a lot, and then obviously almost a wonder goal that you almost scored. You didn't talk to me much on the trip, but nah, joking. Yeah, no, it was good to be in his first camp and watch him play his first appearance as well, and be on the pitch with him at the same time. So that was nice moment.
How did it feel to get called back up, and what does it mean to you, your family?
Yeah, no, obviously it's important for me and my family. Obviously I missed my son's first birthday because of this call-up, so my missus wasn't too happy, but she understands. But obviously my family were delighted. Yeah, my family's obviously Jamaican, so for them it's a big deal, and yeah, it was good to be back amongst it and obviously contribute, which is key, and yeah, obviously I'll get more caps moving forward.
I have to say, I think Michael might be sitting in this chair when he decides to finish.
Or in the middle.
Or in the middle.
Well, Liz took it up the other day. He looked pretty good as well. Borrowed time.
Michael, hurry up and retire so we can get Brownie out. I mean, look, Brownie, I have to say, on a serious note, what a wonderful experience for an incredibly talented young kid.
Yeah, and you know what? Just listening to that, it took me back to the car journeys up from the south coast every day with Nelson Gats. So, you know, you sit and you're quite quiet as a youngster, aren't you? And it takes a while for that to, you know, you get to about 23, 24 before you start really communicating. But the experienced players pass on some absolute gems when you're a youngster making your way. So that time they spent together there, if Croy asks the right questions, he'll get some really good answers from Michael. And you can absolutely just suck everything out of a senior player in terms of experience and knowledge and understanding of what goes through their brains, and hopefully that was the case when they went away.
Wonderful moment for him being out there, and a wonderful moment right now as well, Curbs, him being handed his shirt after making his debut.
And for the club, you know, and for the club, because, you know, it goes worldwide, and I think when Michael coached him into answering a few questions, you know, he did say some nice things, but yeah, great.
I mean, that is a wonderful experience, and now he seems, the way he comes across, and obviously we don't know him, a very humble young man as well. It's really important to stay humble, but also use that as a board to kind of like say, right, I want more.
I think stay humble, but not on the pitch, you know, and training ground. Express yourself, and if you've got something to say, then say it. You know, don't just like be in your shell all the time. But it's nice. I think for the young players now, especially at this club, they're getting thrust in quite early. Not because it needs must, I think it's because they're good enough to come into the side. We've had so many of them come through in the last 18 months, which is great. But then once you're in, then you're treated like a proper pro, you're treated like a senior pro. Look, just because you're young, you know, you've got to be treated the same once you're in the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Curbs mentioned it there, Brownie, it's a proud moment for the club and the academy in particular.
Absolutely, and I mean we give so much credit to the academy, and quite rightly so. But there aren't too many that go on to international, I don't think. So it's a real you know, bonus, I think, for Steve Avery and all the staff when you get players through to that international appearance level. And what I would say is it just, you know, I guess the difficulty for Karoy is he started the season and he's got this international recognition, and now he comes back, he's not making squads. You know, that must be quite difficult to deal with as an individual. You know, you've burst onto the scene, you're doing a great job, and then slowly that gets withdrawn. And I guess that's when you, as a coach, behind the scenes, earn your money a little bit, is making sure that he understands what's happening here early in his career, and there'll be plenty of time for him to break back in. But yeah, I mean, I think we've had so many players come through in the last sort of 6 months that it's no surprise, is it?
No.
We've got 4 or 5 breaking through to the first team.
No, absolutely. And then they've got to be used sparingly, and then get used to playing in the men's football, and then suddenly, before you know it, they've played 200 games by the time they're 22. Let's remind ourselves, shall we, of not just our team, but of Reading's side as well. And we have to say, Brownie, this is a Reading side that is really struggling. We know what's happened off the pitch. I mean, but on the pitch, and I'm talking this season in particular, they've lost 7 of their opening 11 league games. They're inside the relegation zone and would be without their 4-point deduction. 9 goals scored, which is the fewest they've done since the 2009-10 season. And you talked about their away form as well. It's been shocking. Yeah,
I don't think they've picked up a point, have they? Lost all 6. Yeah, and you sort of sit here and you think, do I emphasise that too much? Because you're just going to bring on that sort of commentator's curse, if you like, or summariser's curse. But, you know, like Michael Appleton said in his interview, these are the ones you've got to, as a group, go on and win. There's no ifs or buts about it. They are really struggling on and off the pitch. I did watch them earlier on in the season, actually, at Millwall, which it was bizarre. Millwall made 4 changes, Reading made 10, and a lot of these kids were in it, and they battered Millwall 4-0, but they just haven't been able to replicate that in the league. And that's how difficult it is, I think, when you put youngsters in the side. There is a lack of consistency. But yeah, we've got to win this one, you know, just because purely take advantage of they must be really low on confidence away from home. If we get our noses in front, I think we'll see a 2 or 3 goal victory today.
Curbs, I don't know how many times we've said it on Charlton TV. This is a game where, you know, we're a team that we should be beating, and we haven't, have we? But it looks like we are much more resilient than we used to be. Yeah, and as I say, just looking at the strength of the squad, and we've often said it, I think when the opposition bring a good away following, it makes a different atmosphere
to be playing in, and you know, let's hope we can respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got 8 points after coming from behind this season already, compared to just 6 in each of the last 2 seasons. The one thing I felt that we haven't been able to have is that kind of resilience. Does it look like Michael's come in and he's really worked on that?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think Brandy said it often enough, you know, when you're in a situation you need to score 2 or 3 to get something, that's not good enough, you know.
Well, Michael's even admitted it himself in the interview there,
Yeah,
and that's not good, but so how do you sort that out? Do you work more in the defence, or do you work more in the attack to get 2 or 3?
No, I think you work more in the defence. I think we've got enough in attack to score goals, you know, and you've got to get yourself in a position where when you do score, that back 4, back 5 or whatever, they're going to go, we're going to hold out here, you know, we're not going to let nothing in, and there's a likelihood we can get another one. So, yeah, this is an interesting game for all sorts of reasons. What Reading are at the moment, where we're at, we desperately need this momentum. So, yeah, it's a must-win for us.
Yeah, I think he's cut out the mistakes we were making. You know, in terms of in possession, we were too open and we gave it away at times and gave away soft goals. I think Michael stopped that. I know we saw a soft goal against Blackpool, but it wasn't us trying to play out. You know, if you have a look at that goal and analyse it, it came from a knockdown that we didn't quite deal with particularly well. But I think he's cut out making players uncomfortable in possession. So they still want to play, but at the right times. And I think that's seen our goals against Colin, or should see our goals against Colin come down a bit.
How about Chucks? It's great to see him fit, isn't it? And actually starting matches.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everybody connected with Charlton are just saying, you know, get